Hello everybody and welcome to another Endgame video. This is going to be about the quality of pieces rather than just their material value that we're always told is so important. So if you look at the position here, it's white to move, and who has more material? Okay, let's do a quick count. White has 5 pawns, so 5 points. Black has 2 rooks, where most people calculate a rook as being worth 5, some say 4.5, but let's just say 5 because it's easier. So 10 points for the rooks plus 1 for the pawns, so 11. So black has double the amount of material points as white, so therefore black should win, right? Even without having the first move. But the quality of the pieces, I think, is very important. And my general rule is that when there's a passed pawn and it's got into the opponent's half, it's worth double a normal value of a pawn. And when it gets onto the 6th rank, it's worth 3 points. 7th rank is 4 points. And then, of course, it's 1 square from promotion. So if we calculate it that way, there's 1 point for the f pawn, 2 for the c pawn, 2 for the b pawn, 3 for the d pawn, and another 3 for the a pawn. So it's level, according to my own basic calculations, as well as the white king being far more active than black's king. So let's see what happens. b6, so white's gained an additional point in that the b pawn is now worth 3 rather than 2, so white has 12 points. Rook a3, d7, so another point. Rook h8, king c7, and now there's a brief exchange. Rook takes a6, queen, rook takes, king takes. So now white is in my own material way. White's losing by well, white would be losing by 3 points if we did it the other way, but in this position, according to my own calculation, it's still roughly even, as well as white's king being more active. So rook a2. Okay, now white's definitely winning with c6, according to my calculations. Rook b2, b7, king h5. So I think you would realize as black that you can't stop both pawns, so what we're going to try and do is promote our own pawn as black, see if we can get equality. King c8, king g4, queen, rook takes, king takes, c7. And here, after king g3 and queen f4, black's obviously losing by a lot, but again, we have to look at the where the pawn is. It's just inside white's half of the board, so it's worth 2. White's got a queen that's worth 9, so not even close. But the more the pawn gets up the board, the more powerful it becomes, and the better chance white has of not winning and black has of drawing. So if white were to play a move like king c7 to get the king up the board and more active, f3, king d6, f2. By the way, this is how not to play this if you weren't sure. Queen c4 to prevent promotion, king g2, and when there's a bishop's pawn, or in other words, a pawn that is on the same file as the bishops at the beginning of the game, so the f file or the c file, and the pawn is this far up the board on the 7th rank, and white's king is nowhere near it, black has a way to draw. After queen g4, black doesn't have to play king f1. He can play king h2, and now we need to prevent f1 queen, so queen f3, king g1. And then if it was a central pawn, what could happen is white could play check, and black would have to put the king in front of the pawn to protect it. And then for the next move, white could move the king closer, and then rinse and repeat. After the king moves away, after a series of checks, the king will be forced to again step in front of the pawn to protect it, and the white king can take another step towards it, and eventually white's king will be close enough to win the pawn. But here, black has a trick with king h1. And now white realizes that if he doesn't play queen takes pawn, black can either just promote or play king g1 again, renewing the threat of f1 queen. So rather reluctantly, white has to take a draw with queen takes f2 stalemate. So going back to when the queen was just promoted, here's how you win in this position, the easiest way to win. All you need to do is get your queen to the promotion square and just sit there and not move and run the king up. So the promotion square is f1. The easiest way to get there is queen c4. Now, the king can't move to f2 or g2 to prevent queen f1, because then the pawn on f4 would be hanging and white could take it. So after f3, queen f1, and now black can never dislodge the queen. So f2, and the white king comes up the board and eventually gets the pawn. And then, of course, it's just checkmate in about 5 moves, I think. And kiss of death, checkmate. So the main sort of motif of this video is that the pawns, when they're passed pawns, get more and more powerful as they get pushed up the board. So if you're the side with the pawns, push them, throw them up the board, try and get them promoted as fast as possible. If you're the other side, try and either take them or prevent their advance. Otherwise, you may end up getting bombarded and stormed by the pawns. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!